reports of drone activity here on the East Coast, particularly in and around New Jersey.
What the hell? Okay, something's going on. Something's going on.
There are growing calls this afternoon for action as these mysterious objects continue to be reported.
The skies over New Jersey are breaking every rule of reality. Within the last 24 hours, a drone-sized orb might have recharged mid-flight right in front of stunned witnesses. But that's just the beginning. Reports are flooding in of drones behaving like they're alive, splitting apart, vanishing into thin air, and pulling gravity-defying stunts that no human-made machine could handle. Tune in as the skies unveil a reality too terrifying to ignore. New Jersey's unseen aerial threats. Friday night, McGuire Air Force Base was out of commission for 4 hours. Why? Tiny, unidentified drones were spotted buzzing near the base. Med-flight pilots were warned about heavy unmanned aircraft systems. Oh, and let's not forget the red circular objects zipping around, clearly not your average flying toys. Weird doesn't even begin to cover it, but then it vanished at impossible speed, leaving only questions behind. It's not just the objects themselves, it's how they behave. Some look like they're firing projectiles. Others seem to release thick trails of mist or chemicals that just hang in the air. One even appeared to go vertical like it had no regard for gravity. Theories are everywhere. Chemtrails, secret government tests, extraterrestrial visitors. Pick your poison. Meanwhile, back on the ground, millions of birds are fleeing New Jersey like it's a disaster movie. What's spooking them? Could it be the same phenomenon causing these mysterious aerial antics? It's hard to say, but when birds are acting like the apocalypse is coming, it's probably worth paying attention.
Strange bird behavior happening in New Jersey right now.
And then there's the nuclear angle. A report from earlier this month mentions a radioactive source lost in transit. Coincidence? Maybe. Or maybe these drones, or whatever they are sniffing out radiation. It's not as far-fetched as it sounds when you consider military tech that can refuel mid-flight. Why wouldn't they have drones capable of recharging or detecting hazardous materials? But let's circle back to those red orbs. They've been spotted darting out to the ocean and back at blinding speeds. Could they be some kind of charging station for the smaller white orbs? Theories abound, but hard evidence is scarce. Whatever they are, they're clearly not following FAA regulations. The White House and FBI are playing it cool, offering vague reassurances that everything is under control.
By the completely frozen over pond behind me. Despite that, I'm out here to read to you an email of dire importance I received last night while I slept. Kevin, that's me if you're new to this channel. I hold PhDs in world history, American history, religious studies, and pop culture. I have held top secret security clearances and have done research for all of what we'll call the alphabet soup gangs, though I am now retired. Despite my education, qualifications, and experiences, I do not nor will I ever have any sort of social media presence, at least as far as my own YouTube channel or Facebook page goes. Why, you might ask? Simple. I know too much.
All right, we're going to get right into it. I tried to warn you guys. I knew this was going to start happening. A 72-year-old was just arrested in Florida because he took a shot at the drones.
At some point today, did a drone fly over your house and you shoot at it? I'm going to be real blunt with you and ask.
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay, why'd you shoot at it?
Because I thought it was somebody and turned around playing games on my house.
I got you. Where did you see the drone at?
Right above me.
What, can you walk out and just kind of show me?
Right there.
Sitting straight above it?
Straight above me.
Do you have any idea?
Hovered, lowered some kind of cord down or something, turned around and sent something back up, and then after it was shot at, it turned around and went north.
Gotcha. Okay. What'd you shoot at it with?
9mm.
Okay. All right.
How much trouble am I in?
Quite a bit. You've been honest with me, I'm going to be honest with you. Quite a bit, actually. So there's a federal charge that goes along with it. There's a felony charge that goes along with it. That's kind of like where we're at.
Okay.
Okay.
What happens and what happens and what?
Well, before we continue this conversation, I'm really just, for you being honest, you really just took me off guard. I'm not going to lie.
What am I going to do? I'm going to lie?
True. All right, sir. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say
You're up
will
putting
be...
me under arrest.
I'm just
Arresting me?
going to arrange you the Miranda warning just so I can get out. That way you and I can continue our conversation, okay?
I understand the Miranda warning. I don't have to speak to you unless I want an attorney. Okay?
I got you. Let me just read you this real quick, and then we'll go from there, okay? You have the right to remain silent? Go ahead, Serge. 26. I'm already talking to him. All right, sir. Do you have the right to remain silent? Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to talk to a lawyer and have him or her present with you while you're being questioned. If you can't afford to hire a lawyer, one will be appointed to represent you before any questioning if you wish. If you want to head out underneath it, get out the rain. You can decide at any time to exercise these rights and not answer any questions or make any statements. You understand each of these rights I have explained to you. Having these rights in mind, you wish to talk to us now.
Yes, I understand my rights.
Yeah, I got you. So, it was hovering above your house. It lowered something down.
No, it just hovered above my house.
You said something about the pulley system.
A cord or something. It stayed there for about 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I shot at it. Okay.
I got you.
And the cord went up. It turned because it was facing east.
Okay.
Because that's east, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was working on my pool equipment.
Oh, you were outside when you noticed it?
Oh, I was working on my pool equipment.
Gotcha.
Waved it off and everything. Never left. I went inside, went into the safe, got the weapon, came out, tried to shoot it off again. It didn't move. I fired one round at it. Now they say I hit it, so I must be a good shot, or else it's not that far away. So I'm under all sorts of... They say there's $10,000 worth of damage to the drone and all sorts of stuff. So I'm going to wind up having to find a real good defense lawyer.
You want a coffee in the front?
Whatever you need to do by protocol.
Well, no, we have...
You've been fine. There's no issues. We're not,
Yeah.
Just let me know if it's too tight, all right?
Yeah.
Now, with all this drone talk going on, and then you have the government coming out openly saying they don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. Then you have President Trump coming on saying the government knows what's going on. They fully know what's going on. And then that's confusing the people, and they're starting to get anxious about the drones in the sky, right? So what's the next thing that you do? The most logical thing would be if you see one over your house that you would take it out.
But if it's so under control, why are air bases shutting down? And why are there no clear answers? It's like they're dangling just enough information to keep us guessing without actually explaining anything. And then there's the timing. All of this started ramping up after that radioactive material went missing. Coincidence? Maybe not. If these objects are scanning for something, it could explain their erratic behavior and the sheer number of sightings. But why not just tell us? The silence is almost as suspicious as the phenomena themselves.
Something strange is going on. For some reason, they don't want to tell the people, and they should.
As the footage keeps rolling in, one thing's clear. We're dealing with something unprecedented. Whether it's experimental tech, a global phenomenon, or something out of this world, the truth is still up there. And until we get answers, the speculation game is wide open. Keep your eyes on the skies and your cameras ready. Whatever this is, it's not over yet. Adding layers of complexity to the mystery, the number of reported sightings grows every day. Witnesses claim these objects exhibit capabilities far beyond our understanding. Sudden bursts of acceleration, seemingly impossible turns, and the ability to vanish into thin air make them a challenge to track even for experts. Some reports detail luminous trails left behind, trails that seem to dissipate as quickly as they appear, almost as if these objects are playing with the very fabric of reality. Another fascinating aspect is their interaction with our environment. From causing electrical disruptions to seemingly spooking wildlife, these phenomena aren't just a spectacle for the eyes. Entire neighborhoods have reported brief power outages coinciding with sightings, and car alarms blare in unison as these orbs float overhead. It's as if they're probing the world below, testing reactions or perhaps collecting data. Then there's the undeniable global connection. In addition to the United States, countries like Brazil and Mexico are seeing similar occurrences. Video evidence shows eerie similarities, objects performing identical maneuvers and emitting the same peculiar lights. Is this a coordinated effort, a shared technology, or something even stranger? Let's also address the patterns emerging and where these objects are spotted. They're frequently reported near military installations, nuclear facilities, and major metropolitan areas. coincidence, or a deliberate focus on places of strategic importance? If these are reconnaissance missions, the implications are chilling. Advanced aerial surveillance on this scale could indicate an intelligence far beyond what we've ever encountered. A critical question remains: why now? What has triggered this surge in sightings and activity? Some speculate it's a response to increased global tensions, a warning or observation from forces unknown. Others point to advancements in personal technology. Maybe we're just better equipped to document what's always been there. Either way, the timing feels too significant to ignore. Skeptics argue that much of this can be chalked up to misidentified aircraft, drones, or even elaborate hoaxes. But when you've got seasoned pilots and radar operators scratching their heads, the usual explanations fall short. These aren't random hobbyists with cheap toys.
Rather, to get my messages out, I scour social media platforms for people like you. Folks who actually have views based upon vast, real-world experiences rather than opinions based upon what they see and hear on legacy media outlets or what they've read in books, journals, magazines, or newspapers. I disclose my findings only with those like yourself, who I deem to be completely unbiased, without agenda, and incorruptible. I've been leaning towards sharing what I'm about to share with you for some time. And when you made a recent video in which you shared with the world information that you'd been forced to hide by way of signing an NDA to keep secret, I knew you were my man. With all this said, I want to explain to you, based upon my actual experiences, what I've seen come to fruition in the past, and basically what my gut feelings are screaming at me, exactly what I feel all this drone nonsense that's got the masses questioning everything they thought they ever knew is all about. First, I will start with a quote from Abraham Lincoln, because it's so fitting for the times in which we live. That quote being, "America will never be destroyed from the outside. If we falter and lose our freedoms, it will be because we destroyed ourselves." Since Christmas is upon us at this time, let's talk about the reason for the season. Is it Jesus Christ? Nay. Taxation. The Holy Bible calls for taxation and tithing, but only what is to be considered a fair amount of one's earnings or wealth. The Old Testament states a flat rate of 10% for all. Joseph's trek to Bethlehem, from a historically and factually provable point of view, was to pay taxes to Caesar Augustus. We hear that Joseph was but a humble carpenter. This is true, but humble by no means poor. Joseph, in fact, was a wealthy landowner, and like many wealthy landowners around you in Central Virginia farm country, you really need to be a little more withholding in regard to your personal information shared on social media. True. Joseph was income deficient, meaning that though he had a high net worth, he struggled with cash flow, to the degree that when it was time to pay his taxes to Caesar Augustus, he couldn't even afford an emissary to take the trip and pay the taxes for him. So, despite the fact that his wife was pregnant and close to her due date, he took his wife and made the journey to pay his taxes himself. Jesus was born in a manger, not because, and again, this is historically and factually provable, Joseph and Mary were out-of-towners or foreigners or of another race or creed, but because there was a housing shortage in Bethlehem. You see, the real estate market prices and interest rates at the time were not unlike they are today in modern America. It was either sleep in a barn or sleep in the street. Now, with this said, we must look at history and understand that whether it was the great Roman Empire or the great ancient civilizations of Greece, ancient China, or that of the Incas or Aztecs, any time that any society's tax rates went above 25%, those civilizations began to crumble. Why? Because such high tax rates stifle ambition. Who wants to work hard in an effort to take care of themselves and their families, only to have to turn over an unreasonable amount of their hard-earned money to their governments, to do as they will, despite the consideration or even the best interests of the people from whom they acquire these taxes?
We're talking about objects that defy conventional physics and evade detection in the most secure airspaces.
Identified aerial vehicles then move in perfect formation, their purpose unknown.
One of the most compelling elements of this saga is how it challenges our understanding of reality. If these objects are indeed extraterrestrial or interdimensional, they force us to reconsider our place in the universe. Are we truly alone? Or are we part of a much larger interconnected cosmic web? As speculation intensifies, the call for transparency grows louder. Citizens, scientists, and even lawmakers are demanding answers. Recent disclosures about UFOs from military sources have only fueled the fire. If governments know more than they're letting on, withholding that information serves no one. People want clarity, not cryptic statements or dismissive reassurances. Until then, the mystery deepens. Every new sighting adds another layer of intrigue, another piece to a puzzle that seems almost unsolvable. What's happening above our heads is extraordinary, unnerving, and utterly captivating. Keep looking up. The sky might just hold the answers we've been searching for. What's falling to the ground is as strange as what's in the air. Burn marks, silent flights, and shaken witnesses. Let's not overlook the increasing physical evidence emerging alongside witness accounts. Burn marks on the ground, unusual soil samples, and even electromagnetic anomalies have been documented in areas where these objects were reportedly seen. Researchers are scrambling to analyze these clues, but the findings remain inconclusive.
People begin to work less. They begin to work in a shoddy manner. Society sees the quality of their goods and products and services rendered deteriorate. As such, great societies see the beginning of their end. Kevin, I cannot state this emphatically enough to both you and all of your viewers who, by reading through their comments, I wholeheartedly believe are as awakened, not to be confused with that woke nonsense, as you are. That is exactly where America stands at this very moment in time. Comes now the attack of the drones. And yes, I chose that word attack precisely because it is the word most fitting for what I believe, again, through more than half a century of real-life experiences we are about to see. As of now, no one can say with certainty what these things really are. Some claim they are plasmic orbs from another dimension. Others claim they are spaceships manned by aliens from other worlds. Others still claim they are military aircraft, perhaps from other countries or even our own. And some even believe that these aircraft, be they military or otherworldly or interdimensional, are spraying us with chemicals to make us sick. What's the truth? As of now, no one among the general populace knows, but it certainly doesn't help that those in charge, the bosses of us, our government, is mum. Saying nothing, some of them even going as far as to deny the issue. Yet, they still take our taxes. Let's look back at one particular incident in history. A radio broadcast from October of 1938. War of the Worlds, broadcast by Orson Welles, the original piece of literature written by H.G. Wells, the godfather of science fiction. And though both men shared their surname, they were of no relation. During the radio broadcast, in which the general public was not aware that it was all an act of fiction, though they were told before the preceding commercial break, but clearly the announcement went over their heads, people panicked. People came out of their homes with firearms and shot at water towers that they believed to be giant alien robots. Many people tried to flee, their cars careening off the road at times, causing automobile accidents. Some people, out of sheer panic, even chose to take their own lives. There were 4 unconfirmed deaths, but again, these deaths were never confirmed by the powers that be. Oh no. They claim there were no lives lost, but again, as a pop culture and American historian, among other things, I know this is not true. Some say this was a social experiment funded by John D. Rockefeller, an experiment to determine how people would react to a catastrophe of epic proportions, and the findings show that the masses would panic and pose more harm to themselves than the actual threat they faced. The powers that be thus decided that what people do know will hurt them, so it's best they decided at times that people not be allowed to know.
Right? But don't do that, because that guy's going to now have a $10,000 bill, and plus he broke several laws. He could be in some big trouble, all for shooting at that drone. And like you heard him say, he must be a pretty good shot, because they say he hit it, and now it's going to cost him $10,000. You got that kind of money laying around for target practice? Now, by now, everybody knows about distractions, right? So you have to ask yourself, why did the drone show up all of a sudden? Don't go anywhere, because right after I give you this little distraction tidbit, I'm going to take you to another interesting piece of information. This is the bill that Speaker Johnson just brought to the House floor. He wants to try to pass this funding bill, right? Real quick in the dark of night, right before Christmas break. Look at this thing. Could you read this? How long would it take you to read this thing? Leave it down in the comments below. So it's all a distraction so they could squeak by their BS spending bill that never benefits the American people. Now hold on, here's Thomas Massey predicting this exact thing.
We have broken the Christmas omni. And I have no intention of going back to that terrible tradition. So there won't be a Christmas omnibus. As somebody asked me in the hallway a little while ago, will there be many buses? We don't want any buses. We're not going to do any buses, okay?
And I've seen this play call like 4 times in the 7 years I've been in Congress. They've punted the ball until December 20th. And what they'll do is they'll come in a closed room with us and they'll say, okay, now we've got the really big omnibus. And if you vote for this, you can go home for Christmas. But if you don't vote for it and it fails, we're going to make you stay here over Christmas and New Year's. And it's almost like a dystopian future. I've been in the closed room where they start chanting, vote, 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 vote. Yeah. And people run up there and vote for something they've not read. CR, CR, CR. Oh.
The media has also been playing a role in shaping public perception. Some outlets approach the topic with skepticism, often dismissing reports as hysteria or hoaxes. Others, however, are beginning to take it more seriously, featuring in-depth analyses and interviews with credible witnesses. This shift in narrative suggests that even the most skeptical are starting to acknowledge that something is happening, even if they can't explain what it is. Social media, too, has become a battleground for theories and evidence. Videos, photos, and first-hand accounts are being shared at an unprecedented rate, creating a virtual repository of information that anyone can access. While this democratization of information is exciting, it also comes with challenges. Misinformation and doctored footage muddy the waters, making it harder to separate fact from fiction. Yet the sheer volume of content being uploaded daily makes it impossible to ignore the phenomenon.
Went up real fast. A plane? I can't tell, but it is. Whoa, is that moving quick?
In addition to sightings and physical evidence, there are reports of auditory phenomena accompanying these objects. Witnesses describe hearing low-frequency hums, sudden booms, or even eerie silence as the objects pass overhead. These auditory cues add another layer of complexity, hinting at technologies that manipulate sound or interact with the environment in ways we don't yet understand. And then there's the psychological impact. People who've had close encounters often report feelings of awe, confusion, or even fear. Some describe a sense of being watched or studied, while others claim to have experienced temporary memory lapses or disorientation. These accounts suggest that whatever is happening isn't just a visual phenomenon, it's affecting people on a deeply personal level. With every new detail, the story becomes more intricate, more compelling, and more urgent. Whether these phenomena represent a threat, an opportunity, or simply a mystery to be solved, one thing is certain: we're on the cusp of a new era of understanding. The question is, are we ready for what we might discover? The skies over New Jersey have taken on a whole new level of weirdness lately. Imagine this: people all over the state are spotting drones that seem to break every rule in the book. Giant, silent, impossibly fast, and pulling stunts that would make a fighter jet jealous. These aren't your run-of-the-mill backyard drones. Nope. These things are turning heads and freaking out just about everyone who sees them. It started small, just a few sightings in quiet neighborhoods and sleepy towns. But before long, the reports exploded. People claimed they saw drones the size of SUVs, lit up with steady lights that didn't blink. And get this, they didn't make a sound. They'd hover like they were sizing up the scene, then shoot off at speeds no normal drone could handle. And those moves? Sharp turns, sudden stops, even disappearing into thin air. These weren't tricks you'd learn from a YouTube tutorial. Then came the tech glitches. Picture this. Your compass spinning like it's had one too many, your GPS throwing a tantrum, and your phone deciding it's time for a nap. Hikers in the Pine Barrens were especially rattled. They were used to relying on their gear to guide them through the woods, but suddenly it was like someone hit the off switch. Some even reported feeling dizzy or disoriented, like their own bodies were short-circuiting. Whatever these drones were, they weren't just playing nice with the local tech. Naturally, people turned to the authorities for answers. Big mistake. The responses were all over the place. Homeland Security waved it off, saying there was no threat. The FAA claimed there were no unauthorized flights, and the FBI? They might as well have shrugged and said probably stars or airplanes, because a star just zooms around your neighborhood and then vanishes, right?
Not a plane. That is a drone in the airspace.
The explanations didn't cut it, and the number of reports kept climbing. Things got even sketchier when people realized where these drones were showing up. Some were spotted near places like Picatinny Arsenal, a military research hub, and the Trump National Golf Club in Bedminster. What's the deal with that? Were these drones spying on something important, or were they being tested by some shadowy group? Either way, it's not exactly comforting. And then there were the other weird side effects. In one neighborhood, the power went out just as 3 drones flew overhead. In another, car alarms all went haywire while glowing orbs floated nearby. It's like these things were messing with everything around them, not just the magnetic fields. People started connecting the dots, but the picture wasn't getting any clearer, just creepier. The governor eventually called for federal help, and one state senator even suggested banning all drone activity until things got sorted out. But let's be real, nobody's coming out with a straight answer anytime soon. Was this some kind of futuristic weapon, aliens on a recon mission, or maybe the most elaborate hoax in New Jersey history? Whatever it was, it had people spooked. While officials tried to play catch-up, the internet did what it does best, go full-on conspiracy mode. Videos of the drones went viral, with amateur sleuths analyzing every pixel. Theories ranged from interdimensional travelers to secret government projects. Some said the drones were slipping between realities. Others claimed they were testing next-level surveillance tech. And of course, there was the classic "It's Aliens" crowd, convinced these were extraterrestrial visitors with mysterious agendas.
This is why it is conceivable to believe that we knew about the upcoming attack on Pearl Harbor before the attack, as well as the attacks of 9/11, and this is why it's conceivable to believe that our enslavement masters, the ones pulling the strings with their laws and taxation ability, and with the keys to the locks on our chains, debt, can easily control us through fear. And it is all done to keep our noses to the grind, slaves of the soul trap, never questioning authority and never making any honest attempts to escape. So, this brings us back to the drones. What gives? Is this current drone situation being used to cause mass panic among the masses so that, say, there cannot be a peaceful transition of power on our upcoming Inauguration Day? Could it be to cause such a level of fear and panic among the masses that our enslavement masters must impose martial law, thus denying even the first effort or attempt of the transfer of power on our upcoming Inauguration Day in the first place? Smarter men than me, and smarter women included, do not have the answers to these questions. But someone does. Who is that someone? And why do they remain silent, saying nothing during all of this? You play the fool a lot on your YouTube channel, Kevin. You make an effort to come across as naive. You may be fooling some, but you've not fooled me once since I began watching you. It's why I've shared this information with you, Kevin, and it's my hope that you'll share it with your viewers, because like you, I believe they'll be able to read between the lines and figure out exactly what is going on. Merry Christmas to you and yours, and may you also have the happiest of New Years. I believe that if we can make it to the 20th of January of the upcoming New Year, Inauguration Day will be fine. Until then, buckle up. It might very well be a very bumpy ride.
By the way, I made another prediction that it would end right before Christmas, that it wouldn't go till next spring. Because, and we've talked about this on your show, Brian, for as long as I've been coming on your show, which is at least 12 years.
See it coming a mile away. Go ahead.
Every year, they do the same play.
Christmas
Eve shutdown, panic. Because here's what they're doing. They're taking our families hostage, the families of congressmen in Washington, D.C. on December 20th, which is when this CR expires, and they're going to either put another worse CR that's probably going to have Ukraine and everything else attached to it, or they're going to do the full-on omnibus, depending on how the election comes out. They're going to do that on December 20th, and the congressmen, they're going to smell those jet fumes from DCA, the Ronald Reagan Airport, and the combination of the fumes from those airplanes wafting over to the Capitol and this CR expiring then, they're going to start chanting, vote, 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 and they will vote for anything you put in front of them. Because the speaker always comes and says, doesn't matter who the speaker is, they always say, if you vote for this, you can go home and open presents with your family. Yeah. And if you don't vote for this, we're going to be here over Christmas because the optics are bad. And just go ahead and tell your families, pack up those presents and bring them to Washington, D.C. if they want to be with you at Christmas. No, nobody's going to bring their family to D.C. over Christmas. So they're like the Grinch. Yeah, some people call me Nostradamus for predicting this. But the reality is, Brian, we could go back. It's a lot of work. Oh, my God, yeah. We could go back on your radio show. We could find clips of me predicting this every year. It's not a prediction. It's just how the swamp works and the uniparty works. Listen, Congress being surprised by the fiscal deadline of September 30th is like a florist being surprised by Valentine's Day. It happens every year. Prepare for it.
Now, if all of that wasn't kind of interesting enough, right? Did you know, I told you I was going to drop one on you on the way out the door, though, but did you know Elon Musk's brother owns a drone company?
Welcome to Nova Sky Stories. We aim to empower producers and artists around the globe with the most advanced, reliable, and safest light drone technology in the world. A technology that we developed and fine-tuned during the past decade with a world-class team of artists and engineers. Nova Sky Stories has been trusted to fly for global audiences at some of the world's biggest events. Human error is prevented thanks to fully automated charging and intelligent mission control.
There is a city that exists for only 8 days a year. Artists, free thinkers and philosophers, and people of all world religions and across the political spectrum all come. They flock there with great effort and at personal expense to a hostile desert environment, to work harder than they do normally, to give more of themselves in every way and practice stunning acts of creative expression and generosity.
So I'm encouraging all you guys to not pay attention too much to the drones, but to definitely pay attention to the spending bill and maybe get a hold of your congressman and all this stuff, let them know we're not going for it, that they actually need to just say no, right? This is the time, since we have the House and the Senate and the presidency coming up, that we just say no.
It's popping up worldwide. Places like Brazil and Mexico started sharing footage of drones pulling the same stunts.
I can't doubt what it is. Whoa, was that moving quick?
It wasn't just a New Jersey thing anymore. This was going global. The idea that this was all random? Forget it. There was clearly something bigger going on. Back in New Jersey, some hard evidence started surfacing. After one dramatic sighting, locals found a field with strange burn marks in soil that seemed to have magnetic properties. Scientists who checked it out were stumped. Was it natural? Man-made? Nobody could say for sure. And then there were the engineers who tracked electromagnetic spikes in the area. Their findings lined up perfectly with the drone sightings, but beyond that, they were as clueless as everyone else. Let's not forget the psychological toll this was taking. People who saw the drones weren't just shaken up, some felt like they were being watched, really watched. A few even claimed they had vivid dreams afterward, full of strange symbols and voices speaking in gibberish. Sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, but for these folks, it was all too real. The lights above New Jersey keep getting stranger. The lights above Jersey. This isn't going away anytime soon. Whether it's cutting-edge tech, aliens, or something we haven't even thought of yet, New Jersey is smack in the middle of it. The truth might be out there, but for now, it's hiding behind those strange lights in the sky. And until someone figures it out, we'll all be left wondering what's next. The number of sightings continued to increase, and every new report added more bizarre details to the growing mystery. People began documenting the encounters with high-definition cameras and thermal imaging equipment. These weren't just grainy videos shot on outdated phones, these were clear, undeniable visuals of something truly out of the ordinary. The drones moved in synchronized patterns that suggested an intelligence behind their operations, and their appearance often coincided with sudden temperature drops, even on warm summer nights. The chills in the air weren't just physical, they seeped into the mood of anyone witnessing these events. Some residents began setting up nightly watch groups, turning their backyards into makeshift observation stations. Armed with telescopes, binoculars, and even radar apps, they became amateur investigators determined to crack the case. These groups shared their findings online, building a network of people just as obsessed with solving the mystery. One group claimed to have tracked a drone for over 15 miles, only to lose it when it vanished without a trace. Another group, stationed near the coast, reported that the drones sometimes emerged from the ocean itself, defying gravity as they ascended into the sky. Reports of physical traces left behind by these drones also started circulating. A farmer in South Jersey woke up to find his cornfield flattened in a perfectly symmetrical pattern with no signs of human or mechanical intervention.
They're coming really fast too. They're either running.
The soil underneath was scorched, emitting a faint metallic smell that lingered for days. Scientists who examined the area were baffled, unable to determine the source of the heat or the cause of the damage. Theories ranged from advanced propulsion systems to energy weapons, but nothing could be confirmed. Whatever was happening, it was clear that these drones weren't just passive observers. Local artists and writers began drawing inspiration from the phenomenon, creating works that captured the eerie, otherworldly nature of the events. Murals of glowing drones against dark skies began popping up in urban areas, while poets wrote about the uneasy feeling of being watched. The drones had become a part of New Jersey's cultural fabric, blending fear and fascination into something almost surreal. Despite the growing evidence and public outcry, official responses remained frustratingly vague. When pressed for answers during a town hall meeting, one local official stammered through a generic statement about safety and ongoing investigations. It was clear that whatever they knew, if they knew anything at all, they weren't sharing it with the public.